So compiling things are pretty easy. We're just using that reference there. If we just slide up using the up arrow, the out's going to be with the exe, the reference is all in place, and then that class1.cs is our file, source file. We're not using the debug directories. We're compiling right in our folder here where our source files are located. Back in primal code, you can see that we're using our library, and that gives us the ability to just reference our static methods or instance methods however we want to. Now, we don't have the freedom of actually referencing and getting the code hinting and things like that. What we need to do in order to have that happen is you have to do that from the Visual Studio. If we take a peek at Visual Studio, because most likely you're going to use it from Visual Studio, I'll show you how that works. What we do is we add the project from the project menu, add reference. It takes a little bit of time if you have a lot of controls, components on your machine. And then you can see that we can just slide down, and you see we have our class library right here with the version and everything. It's in this path. See a number sign, My Assemblies class library. That's where that DLL lives. If we were expanding this, we could see that, but I'll show you that in the global assembly cache. If we hold our mouse here, we can see that this is the class library.dll. I just copied it to My Assemblies. I've worked with the class library. I've created it. It's all done. I want to use it in my programs and my applications. Well, I copy it to a local area so that I can reference it. The whole thing is we want to be able to reference it from within Visual Studio, and then you can get information about it. So we can hit OK, but I'll explain that in a video coming up. And now if you just see within your references here in your project, because we have class 1 here is using class library, I just made up a project, open one up, and I just did using class library. When you do that, then you're going to get a reference in the references here. You can double click on that, and then you can browse that object. And you can see our library is the namespace, adding class, multiplying class, and then you see that these are our methods that we can work with. Very similar to what we've worked with before. Of course, these inherit from the object as usual. But very nice to be able to do that. This is the normal object browser, and you can see that because we reference it, it's able to be referenced, and we can get this information. And when we work with our classes and methods, things are going to be a lot easier to work with. We'll just go to our class, and we'll just type in our library is the class, and then we can have adding and multiplying. So we can reference it. So that's really what it's for. So it's not making things overly complicated by having that directory structure in place and having that on your local folder. What it does is it allows Visual Studio in a pseudo kind of way to reference everything. It's not the best idea to have it that way, but that's how it works. And if you have your libraries in one spot anyway, one place, then it makes for easier development. And that's really, those are the libraries that you're using, and then you're going to build them into your applications. If you need to do more advanced things, of course, you can do that as well. You don't always have to keep those libraries handy over there. You can have them stored in the global assembly cache. You can have them in the local directory structure with the application, for example, and they can be in subdirectories with that application as well. And then you can just copy them around as you need to.